Brew, did you like this from Zay Flowers?
Well, you guys know Zay's been in my doghouse.
Yeah.
Since the taunting penalty and then the fumble 4 plays later in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. But Zay is actually right.
Correct.
He's not – I don't think Zay's the issue against Pittsburgh. Lamar. Now, where we disagree on this is you think Lamar gets shaky because it's the big bad Steelers.
Where we disagree
and everybody's looking at this rivalry.
Ravens is a big game.
I think it's a big game too. I just think Ravens Bengals is a big game too, and Lamar balls out. But he doesn't play well. He plays worse against the Steelers than he does against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, he's actually played okay against the Chiefs, but
just never
Steelers, he's struggled. He's 1-4 against them, 5 touchdowns, 8 picks. You know, I don't have to go into all the numbers.
Not good.
So he's the problem, not Zay. But look, here's my thing with the Ravens, period. The only comments I really like hearing from the Ravens are when Lamar kind of checks his teammates and it says, look, let's be sensible. He usually has some sensible comment about we haven't done anything yet. It's about winning a Super Bowl. Let's just keep working, things like that. My thing to say, go out there and win. Beat the Steelers.
That'd be nice.
That's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear no chatter.
There's 2 ways you approach games like this. You either take the high road and show a tremendous amount of respect for your opponent and say, you know, they got a really good defense, great coach, and all those things, and that's cool. Or you say what you feel and what you really mean, which is this. Man, I ain't tripping on them. I don't care. Because every team, I don't care what team it is. I don't care if it's the Raiders. I don't care if it's the Chiefs. Every team feels like, yeah, it was us. We beat ourselves. No one really feels like, yeah, y'all just beat us today.
Did you pick the Raiders and Chiefs because those are 2 of the 5 teams that have beaten Baltimore already this year? Or is it just like
I didn't. It was just best and worst.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Just so happened.
Just as it happened to be.
But the worst team in the league, you still feel like, man, we just didn't.
We didn't play well.
I get it.
Like, we had a chance. Everybody always feels like that.
I don't know. I think Zay.
You didn't like it?
I like braggadocio and bombast from accomplished players.
Come on.
What do you mean, come on? What do you mean? Hold on. If this were a Cowboy,
okay, wait.
In a game with the division on the line against the Eagles, in an alternate universe where the Cowboys weren't terrible this year, and it wasn't one of their best players, it was a good player on their team, you would not be sitting here saying that it's cool.
But do you think he's lying? Like, he's not lying.
No.
Like,
none of
number
these guys
one,
are
he's
lying.
feeling like
Okay. Let's talk about this. As it they kept that segment really, really short. Oh man. Which direction do I want to take this in? I see this both ways. I like how Greg summed it up, where you can kind of go in both directions with this. I'm the type of person who I like to do it the first way, where you just say the right things, where you just say, you know, this is a great defense. They do a lot of great things. I'm really excited to play with it. You always want to go up against, you know, these types of defenses. So, you know, you want them to bring their best. And so you can do your best if, you know, blah, 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 blah. Like, that is actually, honestly, what I like to hear. I don't like the stuff that Zay Flowers says. And the truth is, when you look at if you look at the, you know, what he says, if you just read it, it sounds so much worse than what it actually is in terms of the interview itself, because it's not like him just saying, Steelers, they can't stop me. They don't do nothing to stress me out. Like, the question was literally like, what do they do that stresses you out? And he's like, nothing really. Like, it was kind of like, he didn't say it with his chest out like, let's go. But you still know when you're being interviewed and how the media works. So again, I lean on more of the side of just kind of just being like, yeah, you know, I can't think of anything right off the top of my head what they do to stress me out. Because, like, what do you want him to say? Like you want him to point out the things that they can do to maybe slow him down? Like, it's a weird phrasing of a question to begin with. But I think you could still kind of answer it in a more skillful way. But at the same time, I also recognize that 99.9% of these athletes are athletes, and they're not masters of the mic and masters of the words. They're just not. You know, I know these days every athlete wants to be a podcaster, but there's more athletes who literally lack the ability to have a successful podcast than the ones who can. And so not everyone can kind of skillfully navigate it, and not everyone wants to, quite frankly. That's why they do just want to kind of shoot from the hip and kind of say whatever they will. But this is, though, where always been kind of my issue with the Ravens, especially recently. I'm not going to go as far as what Nick is saying, where it's like, you got to really win something. But at the same time, it does hit different when you've actually done a little more. I think Jamar Chase, talking all the trash that he has versus the Chiefs and stuff like that, I think he looks silly. I know he's not the reason why they're losing and stuff like that, but like, I think he looks silly when you're kind of like saying all these comments about the Chiefs, and you've only been to one Super Bowl and you lost, and Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs got 1, 2, 3, and they're in all the commercials, having all the glory, and I think it looks kind of bad. Now, this isn't the same thing with the Steelers and the Ravens, because it's not like, I know the Steelers have a lot of rings and all that, but like not in this era, in this immediate era of this generation of players. So there's really no sense of like, well, hey, you can't say anything about the Steelers. They keep winning. It's like that hasn't been the reality either. But I still think that the Ravens have underperformed. Since Lamar Jackson has been here, really probably since his second year onward, because, first year, what are you going to do? But second year onward, it's like you're expecting the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. If you knew how great Lamar Jackson is, if you knew how great Lamar Jackson would be when drafting him, if you were to say that the Ravens have never been to a Super Bowl, let alone won a Super Bowl, like, you would be like, that's a problem. You would be like, what is happening here? And so that's why it's like when you have that situation, any type of these sound bites, even if they're kind of innocent and taken out of context or whatever, like, they will always hit different to me, because I'm like, I expect more from you. I expect better production. And I agree with what Brew kind of said with Zay messing up in the AFC Championship game. He was a legitimate, true reason why they lost that game. It can't get any more straightforward than that. He was an absolute liability in that game and caused true issues that caused his team to directly lose. It can't be argued against. And so this is the year where it's kind of like, just zip it, man. Let your game speak. This whole year, you should actually only say no. You should treat it as if you feel like you're going to be jinxed. You be superstitious, where if you say anything remotely conceited or overly confident, you're going to get the opposite. Because you burned that card by your play in the AFC Championship game. And that's just my mentality. I have a harder mentality when it comes to that. I just do. I'm more serious, more focused. I get not everyone is going to be like that, and that's why I'm not ripping Zay Flowers. That's why I'm not like having the reaction like Nick is, where it's just kind of like, this is ridiculous. How dare you say anything? Because that's not the reality either. But it is a culture thing as well. To me, it's also an indicator of what the culture is with the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm on the record saying this consistently, like their culture, their game day readiness. They rolled them, but they had 12 penalties. 12 penalties. That's insanity. That's not championship football. And so for me, it's like, just be and play championship football for the Baltimore Ravens. Like, that's what's at stake. What's at stake is winning a Super Bowl, not just being a top team and a contender. It's to win a Super Bowl. If you were more prepared, more ready, more humble in that AFC Championship game, there's a great chance you win it. But no, you tried to play beyond yourself in a way that hurts you. You fumbled the ball. You got a taunting penalty because you pretty much were like, nobody can stop me. I am God. And it hurts you. That mentality directly hurts you and burns you. So that's why the people who support this type of stuff can't even come back and automatically be like, nah, man, this is the mentality. This is the way you do it. It's already hurt him. If it didn't, then we could say, yeah, fine, that's what he does. That's what he needs to pump us up. And again, to be very clear, that soundbite itself was in no way extreme or overtly negative. I think if you just read the quote itself in a vacuum, it sounds worse than it really is. And that's the way how I think Nick is taking it. Like more of just the actual sentence itself and not how the question was asked, how he answered it, the little bit of a smirk on his face. So like, again, the only reason why I'm even making a video out of this is because it's, it's they talked about it, but it's not like I would have just saw this in isolation and would have took to YouTube and been like, oh my God, did you guys hear what Zay Flowers just said? Like, that's not the case. I did that when Brandon Graham said that about Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. I was like, oh my God, did you just hear what what Brandon Graham said about AJ and Jalen? Like, that was actually like newsworthy. This to me is more of a jumping off point about the Baltimore Ravens as a whole. The culture, are they prepared? Are they ready to be Super Bowl winners and Super Bowl contenders? To me, those are the more interesting questions rather than, like Zay saying, Steelers defense doesn't stress him. Like, that's too narrow of the topic. To me, it's like, well, let's undress that. Let's unpack it like they all did, especially Greg. But then let's kind of just be like, okay, Greg talked about that, having that mentality of being like, hey, this is a rival. They can't stop us. I'm speaking from my heart. Let's go. But let's be like, but should that be how the Ravens play? Should that be the Ravens culture and mentality? Is that ultimately what's best for them? Is that what actually maximizes their ability to win games? To me, that is a deeper and more important question to get to the bottom of, rather than being like, is Zay just being, too over the top or whatever. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Baltimore Ravens? Do you like this? Do you think this is totally all good, bad, left, right, up, down? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.